Technology can feel overwhelming for many small business owners. I get it. Too many tools, too many choices, and not enough time to figure it all out. But when used strategically, technology can solve real problems in your business and help you to grow with confidence. In this session, Sidoni Naismith outlines 6 key challenges that technology can address, from saving money and protecting company assets to boosting productivity, systematizing processes, strengthening customer relationships, and improving team communication. To look at the advantages and disadvantages of adapting new tools, and she will walk you through how to build a simple technology plan that aligns with your business goals, budget, and growth strategy. This conversation is about shifting from tech overload to tech empowerment. You can choose the right system, streamline your operations, and use technology as a strategy, not as a stumbling block. Let's dive in.
So today we will be identifying some problems that the technology industry or tech can solve within your business. And then we're going to consider the advantages and the disadvantages of tech in business. We're going to get some tips on developing a tech plan. And finally, we're going to learn what every business should be doing. And this is all related to technology. So let's get started. Here's a fun fact. According to SCORE, a study from the printer company Brother, they found that 63% of small businesses that their owners they frequently feel overwhelmed with the number of technologies available to run their businesses. So what that really means is that we are so intimidated. A lot of times it slows down our process of really implementing tech for our business. Now, I'm going to start off by identifying some of the problems that tech could solve for you, because there's a delay in times when we want to implement tech, but here are some reasons that you might want to consider to have some tech in your business. Tech saves you money in the long run. This is absolutely true. Any efficiencies that you can have in your business and technology can help you to solve it, you will find that you will be benefiting financially in the long run. What I mean by that is that once you start doing things, streamlining processes, then you will be able to cut costs. You may be able to replace or have lower hours with an employee or even yourself in terms of what you allocate towards your business. And the list goes on in terms of how you can have savings in your business by using technology. So technology protects your company's assets. This is super important and critical. So let's take my business, for example. When I started to open a second office, I reached out to a manufacturer and I wanted to add computers. I have a South Florida office and I have an office here in Nevada. And it's a small shop. I have said that a few times. If you've ever been on a webinar with me, I use a lot of contractors. I have interns, but I have to have certain equipment in place. So my assets would be my equipment, and of course I have my intellectual property and all of those. So I went through the whole process of asking, how do you secure? I'm just thinking from my corporate mind when I used to work for a company where what we did. So that's exactly how I wanted my business to be set up, even though it's small. We have a few computers, we have a few tablets, we have a few gadgets, we have software. I wanted to all be protected. So first thing I was asking was for a VPN type like situation. And a VPN is a way that employees or anyone that's working for you or in a project would have access to your world, so to speak, your company's resources, your apps, your folders, your drive, all of that. That's how I wanted my small, very small business to be set up. So they were able to help me with that. Not only to set up that way, but they were also able to help me with actually locating and knowing where my computers were at any given time. So it didn't matter who had them. I have now the comfort of knowing, one, where the computers are, and two, who has access to what. Now, I'm not going to say that I have gone through the entire process of putting passwords and allocating towards every single folder, but I have a level of satisfaction or level of comfort that at least certain things, my company's assets are protected. Additionally, with this, I can lock my devices and no one could go into them. So that's pretty cool. So technology helps with systemization and standardization. If you have a system, I've learned, if you have a system or if you have systems in place, you will save money, you will save time. Your onboarding process for whether a contractor or an employee, that would be easier and smoother. And even with the standardization, both of them work hand in hand, and tech could help you to do that. Maintains productivity. I mentioned yesterday about the different productivity tools that are out there, and this is a fact. There are many productivity tools that are out there now that they have a free version that's good enough for a small business to be able to use to keep you on track, on time, and moving along with your process. Strengthens customer relationships. This is another fact. Today, not only can you instantly respond to your customers if they have questions or concerns, but you can also give them access to their information if you'd like. You can have them have a portal where they could go in and self-service and really go in, get any information. It's actually easier and better for your business if you have that sort of business structure where you are allowing your customers to fulfill the requirements that they have at a drop of a dime. They could just log in, get whatever information they need if they need to download something, providing that this is a service situation where you're providing services, or they may need to have access to the information for a product that they bought from you and you have shipped, or they can go in and reorder. So strengthening customer relationships. They could add comments where you can get instantly or send you an email. All of that is possible through technology. Improves internal communication. This is another fact. For me, I love this tool that's called a cloud-based software that's called Dropbox. There is another version that's called Dropbox Paper. I use this all the time. It's like a whiteboard where you just type anything on it. You can add pictures, you could add videos, you could add tasks, you can assign, all of that. A lot of times I use that with my team and especially contractors. I create a Dropbox paper per task or project and we can go through it. It's like a whiteboard. Imagine writing about what your thoughts are and kind of going through it through conversation. What's really great is that you can do this simultaneously in a conversation, and you can both be updating the document at the same time. Now, Dropbox Paper was just one example. There are plenty of tools that can do that as well. And notice I said internal communication because I consider my contractors as well somewhat internal because they're helping me with some of my internal functions as well as externally with clients. So we have to plan and come up with our strategies and have our timelines and talk about what's working, what's not, and we go through it, we set tasks, and the list goes on and on and on. So those are Those are 6 things that you could consider what would benefit you for you to improve your business with technology. So we're going to go over some advantages and disadvantages. We can't talk about implementing or using tech in your business unless you really talk about like what does it involve? What are the good parts and what are the bad parts or not so good parts? So here we go. We talked about productivity already, increased productivity. These are some of the advantages of using tech in business. Communication and collaboration. I just gave an example about how we communicate with our clients and how we communicate with our vendors, how we communicate with our contractors, how we collaborate with them. The same thing. Digital marketing. Let's talk about this really quickly. Digital marketing, there's so much that you can do with technology for digital marketing. You might not even be a marketer or know what digital marketing is. There's so many different angles in terms of digital marketing. So we can talk about from the perspective of online and marketing through social media. That's very common. Everyone is pretty much aware of that, but are you aware of some of the tools? You can use a tool that's called Canva. A lot of people already know Canva. It's a graphic design tool where you can design your flyers or design any notices, even a PowerPoint, anything that you would like. But what's great too, it has it pre-formatted for the social media, the platform that you're working with. So it has Instagram stories or Instagram posts. You just drop in pictures and whatever your message is, then you can go ahead and next thing, schedule when you want that to post, because you can integrate Canva into your social media. So you could link to your LinkedIn, you could link to Facebook, you could link to Pinterest and even Instagram. You can do all of that designing your marketing and also posting or scheduling the post within Canva. That's 2 things in one right there. The other thing that you can do is, and of course, Canva also integrates with many other software and websites and all that, like MailChimp. And MailChimp is great as well for digital marketing, for campaigns and all of that. The other one that you can look at is Facebook Business. That's a tool. If you learn about Facebook Business, if you really take your time to get to know Facebook Business, it is powerful. And not only because you can target whomever you would like to see your marketing, but you can also schedule your posts for not only Facebook, but you can schedule as well for Instagram. So that's 2 platforms in one. And there are some nuances that some things can post on Instagram and cannot be posted on Facebook in the same format. Is it a video? All of that. But once you learn those things, very, very easy to schedule. And I'll tell you, we try to schedule our posts way in advance, like 30 days. This is what the month looks like, and it's always, you're going to hear me say, it's always good to have a plan. So what does next month look like? What are we focusing on? What does our post need to say? What are we doing? And making sure that everything is in line with that plan, and then it'll be easier for us to post. There's so many other digital marketing avenues you could take, like Google AdWords, targeting with the backlinks. The list goes on. And of course, your website is a big part of digital marketing as well. Increase in quality and reduction in human error. So if you think about having automation, which will come next in here, having automation set up, there's a tool called Zapier. Zapier, they call them zaps. They send zaps. What Zapier does is it integrates with other software as well. So, as an example, any repetitive tasks that you would have, Zapier could help you to take care of them. So let's say you send an email out ever so often to your clients, and you may need to include a link to an event that they have registered for. You go and you check, you make sure they registered for the event, and now they get a password. It's not something that automatically goes to them for whatever security reasons. You don't want them to get it before a certain time. And then maybe it's a portal, a training, a special training portal that you have that you'd like them to access and instructions to do so. And then maybe you have a Gmail account that you want to note something that, hey, this email was sent to this client, and you wanted a meeting to be added to your calendar to follow up with XYZ in order to prepare for this meeting that you're going to have with the client. Zapier could do all of that. It literally can integrate with your meeting platform, or so let's say Eventbrite. The client went on Eventbrite and added and registered. They're supposed to get a Zoom link. So Zapier takes Eventbrite information, lets Zoom know that one registration occurred, returns the information so that the client could get at least preliminary, sends me an email to say this client's registered. This client will now get the password within X amount of days, not right away, to access the portal that we're going to do the training on. And then an email gets sent, and it doesn't have to be email, some kind of target link or process that runs that says, now we need a calendar calendar invite or so for your team. So let's send it to these 3 people so that you can have this meeting in preparation for this training. All of that can be done with Zapier. We just talked about automation. That's exactly what I just talked about. And then the human error part of it, because this is a AI feature, an artificial intelligence feature. So human error is minimized because the computer is doing it for you, or the software is doing it for you. Hiring and monitoring staff, the advantage of doing that, being able to know once your staff logs in, you can set whether or not your computer puts them on idle if they're not doing their work. It either sends a notification or something funny to say, hey, are you still working? Or it shows how long that it was on idle, depending on the process you want to put together. So if you really want to monitor staff, that's the case, that's the process. Hiring, there are plenty of tools out there. A lot of them are free in terms of hiring that will help you with recruiting as well for HR functions. Data storage, I just mentioned Dropbox. There are others like Google, you can always use Google Drive. You can always use the Microsoft functions as well. They have data storage and plenty of storage, and they integrate with a lot of their Microsoft systems as well. So that's an advantage to have as well. This is a big one that since the pandemic, it's just been going and going and going. A lot of people don't want to go back to work. A lot of people are working. So the idea of working from anywhere is huge. So being able to hire and have that as an additional feature in regards to now this job will be remote. You can work from anywhere, knowing that one, your machines are secure, your processes are in place, and you are able to hire. You have storage, right? You have everything that you need that will allow this employee or contractor to be able to take on this task from anywhere, providing it is a job that they can do that. So these are some of the advantages of really incorporating technology in your business, and advantages just to think about, but of course, we always have some disadvantages as well. And you'll find that some of the disadvantages are very common. One big one here is connectivity, reliance on connectivity. Whatever you're doing, you would like to be connected. A lot of technology, really, you have to have some sort of hotspot. If you don't have anything hardwired in, you also would be able to make sure that you have your systems in place and know what you're capable of in terms of if everybody's working from home, what kind of system they have to support them in the business, because reliability it could be an issue, especially if you are in areas that are rural or areas that are close to rural towns that may not have the best connectivity. Reduce workplace interaction. What we mean by this is there's some, believe it or not, there's some employees or some businesses that they prefer to be in that business setting. So whether you're in a shared office space or you have employees that came into work and you interacted and you prefer that powwow to have the meeting in person and you feel like you're getting things done because you're in person, you're all doing it together, that is one of the disadvantages. You won't be seeing someone. Well, you can if you use technology, if that's something in your office and you know that you're still there, but this is one huge part of it, that you really don't have to be in person to do a lot of the functions or to perform a lot of the functions of your business. So therefore, this is an area, workplace interaction, that would be reduced. A lot of times people are not picking up the phones anymore. They're just texting or they're typing, or they can post the question somewhere and then they answer. A lot of times it's easier to just talk and you'll get it done. But this is one thing that you want to consider. Implementation can be time consuming. If we go back to one of the very first slides, where Score and Brother, and they did their research and they were saying 63% of business owners are overwhelmed by the amount of tools that they have. The other thing is time. They want to really think about, hey, how long is this going to really take for me to implement all of these systems or this one system? How much manpower is going to take? And how much of my time is this going to require? I know I need it, but do I have time? That's one disadvantage. You really would have to budget time. Can be costly to implement. Yes, it depends on the number of tech you want in your business, the quality of tech you want in your business, and how often you maintain tech in your business. So it can be costly, but my advice is always to do your research, compare, see what you really need. Don't get a tool that works for another small business owner because it works for them. Make sure it works for you. And that's why you really have to get to know your business and to make sure that you are putting in the right solutions for your business. Security concerns. Security concerns, this comes into play when you have employees working or contractors working somewhere outside of your environment, your controlled environment, so to speak. So you give them access and they're able to log on, whether through VPN, and that's secured, of course, nobody could come in. It's your world, so to speak. And you have certain measures in place, but you cannot control some things because it's not within the environment or the space that you have set. So you would have to trust that people are locking their computer. Nobody could go on their device taking anything. Trust that when they're home, confidential information is being kept confidential. And the list goes on and on when it comes to security concerns. That's a disadvantage because as a business owner, you're thinking about, well, I implemented all of this tech, now they can do whatever, and they have, or whoever has information now at their fingertips, and what can they do with it? Screenshot. A lot of people could screenshot something if they can't save it and send it out. So that's where security concerns would come in. Learning curve. This goes hand in hand with time. You have to set time to learn the systems that you have invested in or you're going to invest in. Your team has to know how it works. You have to know how it works. Maybe your customers, of course, your customers would need training as well. So that learning curve, you would have to excuse yourself to say, hey, I know that this is going to take me a while to learn, and hopefully within the process, my team, the learning curves will be up the curve, and then now we would start realizing why we did this. But learning curve equals cost as well, just so that you know. The slower it takes for you to learn or to ramp up, to really get efficient and to utilize the tech that you have, the more time and probably money you will burn. So we talked over the advantages and disadvantages. And now I want to say, if you are sort of still overwhelmed, try a technology plan. In other words, write it down. I am a planner in all aspects of my life. I am someone to plan to say, what does this look like? And I think it works very well because you can communicate that effectively to your team. If it doesn't work, at least you have it written down so you can tweak it. So let's go over it. What does a technology plan look like? So let's go through some tips of creating and developing a technology plan. For a technology plan, your plan must align with your business objectives. It goes right back to your marketing plan, your strategy, knowing who your customers are, all of that. The tech you put in your business should help you to yield results, and the results would be your return on investment, would ultimately mean profits. Make sure that you prepare a technology vision statement. This goes hand in hand with like a mission statement for your company, but this is from a technology standpoint and keeping your mission statement in mind as well. Hey, we need to be this kind of company that is secure, that has X amount of machines, that has our own server, that is touching X amount of clients per day because of technology, that is securing X a number of contracts because of technology. Whatever your vision, and it should be short and well put together so that it's deliberate, but keeping all of these things in mind, that's just some ideas of what you can consider your technology vision statement to be. And again, it has to be in line with the mission of your company. So if you haven't done those things, it's a really good practice to do so you'll have more to work with. You need to evaluate your existing tech. We all have tech, and we all are tech companies. So existing, what do you have? What kind of hardware you have? What kind of software do you have? What do you need? Do not go get a CRM system and you have one. Learn to use the one that you have, and if you have a system that doesn't work for you with what you need, but it works for something else, that's fine, and you have a justification. But let's not quit until we really find out what we have and the reason we have, the tech that we do have. Consider your financial and operational goals. This is critical, it's huge. Tech will work. You have to have time, you have to have people, you have to have resources, all of that. Financially, you have to make sure that it's going to yield some results. And from an operational standpoint, it's all about efficiency. It's all about making sure that whatever you're implementing in your system, it's coming back to your financial goals and it's coming back to your operational goals. Make sure you develop a budget and timeline. Your budget goes right into your financial goals, right? Maybe this is something that you did not plan for. That's okay. That's why we do a forecast. You budget for the year and something comes up. It happens. That's fine. You put it in your forecast. If you're not able to you didn't see this coming, or you didn't plan it out. You didn't know that you're going to need this upgrade. You didn't know you're going to need this computer system. You didn't know that you needed this software. You didn't know about the website that you are going to implement, that you went to a trade show or went to a program and you saw that you can do X, Y, and Z, and now you want to incorporate it in your business. So just make sure that you have a budget for it and a timeline, and just make it a part of your overall financials when you're doing your cash flow projections, and also you're doing your forecast for your P&L, your profit and loss, to know where you are financially. Prioritize technology requirements. This means that you are looking at all the tech that you need, and you are saying month 1 and 3, we're going to work on XYZ. And maybe it takes a longer time. Like some would take a longer time, right? So you will say the first half of this year, we want to implement a robust system for our accounting system. We want to make sure that we have everything captured and we're forecasting and we're doing all of that. The second half of the year, we're going to focus on marketing. So therefore, we're going to implement marketing procedures and all of that. What do we need? What software do we need here? What hardware do we need here? What does it cost? And we prioritize. Which one would be needed right away? That would be up to you. You would say, hey, we're going to do this one first. We're going to do this one second. And then next year, we move on. You might be able to do one a month, depending on the cost, depending on what it is. But just prioritize so that you're in line with your financial goals and your budget. Prepare a strategy and a route map to implementation. So a strategy is, hey, how is this going to get done? Who's going to do it? Whose hands, like what team member, if we need, do we need to hire an outside source for this? And how do we go about implementing? Make sure that we have some kind of strategy. You have some kind of strategy for that. Create a system for tracking progress. All of the efficiency tools and the productivity tools can help with that. A project management tool that's just project management could help with that as well. For instance, Monday.com is good. Trello is great as well. And then they have another one that's called ClickUp that is good as well. And they help you to stay on track with progress, and you can upload documents, do all sorts of things. So there are tools out there to help you with planning, even planning the tech part of it. So these are tips on what you should have and when you're developing the tech plan. The other thing is making sure that you have an annual review process. We often just set it and forget it, and then our systems don't work as well. Notice that when you go on your computer, time to time, it says update, or you need an upgrade, so you have to go through some kind of process in order to upgrade or update your computer so it could work at optimal level. Well, it's the same thing for your business. Whatever you have in tech, you really need to make sure it's running at its full potential. So that's why you want to do an annual review process. And not only that, you can do it biannually. You could also do it quarterly if you want. It just depends on how much you have in time. So here's what a finished tech plan should have. A very basic tech plan will have 4 elements. Those 4 elements would be your vision statement, a description of the strategy, the timeline, and the budget plan. The next type of, if you want to get a little bit more fancy and really have a robust, comprehensive technology plan, it would include a mission statement and the profile for the organization, inventory of existing tech, and having a breakdown of the implementation details and how you analyze the long-term and short-term objectives. So this is what your tech plan should look like. Basic if you would like. So if you don't want to go through too much, just say, hey, let's start off with just the basic 4 key elements. You literally could just put that in a Word document and just fill that out. Say, this is what we have. But keep in those points that I just shared with you in mind as well. And comprehensive, of course, you can do that as well. This is what every business should be doing, regardless of how big your business is, how large, and how small. If you're a startup, you need to know. You need to keep track of the technology you utilize. Conduct an inventory audit and implement an audit policy for hardware. It sounds fancy and it sounds like all of this, but it really works because this will put you in front of, knowing what you have and knowing what you can do. And then if you need to make a decision, it would be critical for you to be able to come up with what's needed. Right away, you'll be able to make a decision because at least you have some things put in place. Don't forget to schedule, like we just talked about, maintenance, whether it's software maintenance or it's repairs for the hardware, don't forget them. So look at these. This is a list of your hardware. This is, hey, basic. If you have your hardware, here's how you take the inventory. Get to your type, year, serial number, when your upgrades are required, the location of the equipment, who has them, the cost or lease amount. If you bought them or if you leased them, make sure you know how much it is, and then how much is it to replace it. Similarly, this you would use for each software. So propose the purpose, meaning, hey, why am I using this software when you're taking inventory? What purpose does it have? So for an example, market it. Licensing company, that's really Zoho or Zoom, if or that's just who is providing the licensing for you. Number of licensing, that's how many licenses you have. You will learn that when you do your research, they'll give you like a free trial for up to 3 people, and they will give you all the bells and whistles. So a lot of times they don't want to lose your business, so they downgrade you to the free section, the free version, after the trial period has ended. And then now with the free version, you can only probably use 1. So when you really do plan on investing, you realize, oh, there are additional features that I was using. Now I don't have access to that because I'm no longer within the trial period, or I'm no longer paying. This is where this comes in. You may need a license per person that would be able to access the system. So number of license is critical at that point because you want to know when the renewals are. I may have some companies, they do proration, so it's easier for them. So it's from January to December. But others, it's an annual, whenever you started. So if you started June 30th, next year, that same time, that's when your renewal will come up. So be aware of that and how many licenses you have, because that impacts your cash flow, because they are going to take it out from an annual standpoint usually. Who has access? That's important as well. Within almost every software that you use, you can set who has access to what modules and who has access to the actual tool. So that's great to have as inventory as well. And then ultimately the cost per term, which would be the cost for the life of that 1-year term or that 6-month term, or if it's a monthly that you're on, and cancellation or refund policy. Having this just to start off with would be phenomenal. It would be great. It would allow you to be able to make decisions that you would never have thought that you could make on the fly. This is so critical to your business, especially if you are looking for collateral, especially the hardware. You can really quickly go in and see how many computers we have, how many systems we have. If you have inventory, right, all of that could play a role into you making fast decisions just by having this information. Let's look at an example. For instance, you are developing a website. Let's get some tips on that. So you want to prepare a detailed outline with the steps required to complete this project. from the beginning to the end. You want the web developer, whoever is doing it, to sign off on it. And you want to understand your responsibilities versus the web developer's responsibility. So what I mean by that. So you, for instance, you can be the person that's in charge of gathering the information, planning the content that's going on the website, and then the review portion to see if the website is ready or not. And then the maintenance would be usually one big question. A lot of times people forget to ask this question: who's going to maintain the website? You just get a website built and it gets handed off to them, and then they're stopped. So that's a big question, and it's in a question mark, and you'll see it on the developer side as well. That's something that needs to be ironed out. For the developer, the information that they're gathering, they have to gather on their end as well. They have to plan as well. They'll be responsible for the design, usually, and they're responsible for the coding because they're the developer. They're responsible for testing. Jointly, you would do the review and ultimately agree on the launch. And then, again, who's going to do the maintenance? Will you ask the developer to continue working with you to do the maintenance, or will you learn, or do you have a process in place where you can actually do the maintenance? I always want to note, or to make a note, when I speak to clients that are doing a new website, make sure that you know your domain, how you're able to access your domain, how you're able to give the developer information on your domain, making sure that no one has full access to your intellectual property, so it would leave a risk that you're not able to access the back end of your website and all of that. Make sure that you have access. You can actually go in, log in, and set up a profile for your developer as an admin to go in and work. And that would mask all of the billing information, your personal information for your business that you would like to keep within your company, and so that your developer, a lot of times everything gets handed off, like the access and everything, and developer could just go in. Imagine someone could just go in and change the password, and then now you are locked out of your own website, your own domain, and your own hosting, because domain and hosting is separate. You can buy all of them from GoDaddy, so to speak, right? Or you can buy your domain from your domain name, like your URL, from Whois. You can host it on GoDaddy. You could host it on Bluehost. You could host it on HostGator. Those can all be separate. So you'll have a login for Whois or a login for GoDaddy here, and then you'll have a login for whoever's hosting it. And then all of that would link to the back end. And if you're using like a WordPress, that may have a separate login as well. So you may need to create multiple profiles so that your developer would have access. And once that's done, it's pretty simple to hand off. Sometimes setting up for you to get to the back end, you might need technical assistance or technical support to help you with that. But my recommendation is always to make sure you have full access to, especially the back end of your website. Can you imagine needing to change something and you cannot because you just don't understand it? Just try to learn at least the basic, or try to assign someone to learn at least the basic and decide who will maintain your website. Here are some resources that you could use as comparison to compare the tools that are out there. Some of them that we talked about: CRMs, productivity tools, and accounting software, and website hosting. This is just one source. They have another online resource that you can go and do comparisons as well. It's called Capterra, and you can go in and do the same kind of search, for multiple different software, even hardware providers. You can go in and compare a Mac to a HP, or any kind of Windows, a Google a device as well. All sorts of comparison. We talked about yesterday about really comparing, sitting down and making sure that you understand your needs, understand the cost and all that. This is a website that you could go on and just to see what they have to say as the experts and why they're reporting this. So one last tip. Sorry to say, tech won't fix everything. You really need, as a business, a plan. And I'm not talking about a formal business plan. Of course, starting out, you really do need a business plan, but you need a plan in every aspect because you want to maintain a level of clarity for yourself. You want to set expectations for your team. You want to make sure that everything is running as smoothly as possible. So here are some additional tips before we wrap up. Please review your company's strengths and weaknesses. Just do a SWOT analysis. This will help you to put things in perspective, to see what you absolutely need. If you get most of your business through, say, government contracting, where you go on a website and you pull down a solicitation and you apply there, maybe it's not as crucial for you to post on social media every day because your clients are not there. Your client is the government. Of course, they'll look to see what your social media look like, but you're not trying to get leads in that way. So think about what you really need for your business and what the strengths and weaknesses would be. Maybe you do need a solid grant writer or a solid person that could write those contracts or to be able to apply for those contracts. Maybe that's what you need. Is there a tech tool for that? Yes, there are tech tools for that, for those things. So look at what your needs are before you make your decision. Take accountability and do the work. Make sure you know what it entails, know you're in it fully, and just do the work to get it done. Be available to listen to contributors. This could be the web developer we just talked about. It could be your team. It could be some online resource that you're using, but make sure that you take it all in when you are implementing tech in your business. Carefully assess your company's needs. We just talked about that. What does your company really need? If you do a business model canvas, you'll be able to fill in the 9 business building blocks. You'll know who your customers are, and you know what activities you need to do, your cost and your revenue, all of that. So tools like that would be very useful for you to be able to understand your business and know your business needs, your company needs. And by the way, there is an online tool for a business model canvas that is interactive as well. Be flexible. We know everything can't happen at once, but just having flexibility. A lot of times when you're implementing tech, it might not go according to the timeline. Things might not go according to plan because you find that you'll stumble upon maybe one issue or another, things that you never considered, things that may be better to improve your processes and all that. So be flexible. And finally, I would say, being someone with a finance background, I'm always going to say stay on budgets. I did budgets for the majority of my life, and I know it's hard. And that's why we do a forecast, but at least we're able to understand and we're able to explain, and that's the key. But try to stay on budget.